Hey, 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 good morning. How are you this morning? As you come in, go ahead, drop your name down in the comments so I can say, hey. Well, let me turn my phone off. Good morning, good morning. So, today I am talking about the most expensive lesson that I learned. As you guys know, I've been doing the Your Story Power Challenge. It has been going so good. And today is day 15. So, I'm going to be sharing the most expensive lesson that I learned, y'all. And as you come in, go ahead, put your name down below. Feel free to share this video to those that need it. Okay, so let me get right into it. So, the most expensive lesson I've learned in my life is knowing the difference between nice and kind. Like, I did not know the difference between nice and kind as a Christian. And because I didn't, I spent years of my life in toxic relationships with others as well as myself. Okay. So not knowing the difference between nice and kind really cost me years of my life. Just not being able to be authentic to myself, not being able to step into my full identity with God. So my most expensive lesson learned in my life has been not knowing the difference between nice and kind as a Christian. So I spent years of my life struggling with rejection and self rejection, years of my life letting people literally walk all over me, thinking that I was supposed to stay in my prayer closet and let God deal with it. And don't get me wrong, you should definitely be praying. But there are some things that need to be vocalized. There are some things that need to be said. But at this time, I wasn't. And in reality, I needed to set boundaries, and being nice to everyone caused me to go into this people pleasing thing. Hey, Stephanie, good morning. Hey, good morning. So it caused me to go into this people pleasing thing. And I have learned, y'all, that people pleasing is really just putting people before God and yourself. We are called to love God and to love people, but as ourselves, right? Love people as ourselves. And at that time, I just really was not loving myself. I wasn't. I had no idea. So even though I spent all this time not knowing the difference between nice and kind, now that I know better, I do better. And that's the key. If you know better, you got to do better. Like, how is anyone else feeling about all the hard lessons that they've learned? Like, are you guys happy that you actually learned the lesson? Because I'm honest, if I wouldn't have learned that lesson, for one, I wouldn't be who I am today. I wouldn't be coaching people, but I also wouldn't have been able to pass the torch, pass the wisdom, the knowledge. So, as a mom, I have a 6-year-old. Her name is Madison. And as a mom, I am really diligent about teaching my daughter, Madison, the difference between nice and kind. Now that I know the difference, I have to teach her that as well, teaching her how to build herself up and in the true identity of God, because I didn't know. I just thought oh, you're just supposed to be praying about it. You're not supposed to say anything. You're just supposed to let people walk over you. And a lot of Christians think that way, and it's just not true, y'all. Let's see. Yes, yes, you cannot be a people pleaser. And this is very common within Christianity. So you cannot be a people pleaser. And I'm gonna be honest, I see so much of myself in my daughter. And I know that if I didn't spend the time transforming my own soul, that she would have to figure it out on her own. So although I learned it the hard way, I'm thankful that I can pave the way for her as well as my clients. Because, like I said, this is common in the Christian community. Not a lot of like preachers or teachers are telling you about nice versus kind. So, to those of you that don't know the difference between nice and kind, I wanted to break this down to you all so you will know. So, hopefully, y'all got some paper or pen or something. If not, catch it on the replay. But so nice is, like we talked about, people pleasing. When you people please, you are really wondering, like, what will they think? What will they say? And based on those thoughts, you act accordingly. Most people who are people pleasers are overthinkers as well. Okay, when I was a people pleaser, I would go through all the scenarios trying to figure out like which fits people best, right? But as I'm going through these scenarios trying to please them, I am like completely just not even including myself in that equation. Like all I'm concerned about is how are they going to take it? I'm completely dismissing myself. So that's people pleasing. Another part of being nice is having boundaries or not liking confrontation. So let me know in the comments, are you a person that doesn't like confrontation? That is so me, y'all. Like, even till this day, I have to be intentional about making sure, like, Alyssa, is this something that you need to be confronting? Because I hate confrontation. I absolutely hate it. But a sign of being nice is not having boundaries and not liking confrontation. Yes, people pleasing will cause social anxiety. That is so true because it's almost like being in a room and you are trying to, in your mind, think about everything. You're trying to balance everything like it's up to you to please everybody in the room. And in certain situations that is just not possible. Not possible. And when I got stuck in a toxic situation, that's what happened to me. There it was not possible to please everyone and it's like literally all hell broke loose because I'm like, "Well, what am I supposed to do about it?" And now like your heart is beating irregular and you have all these issues because you're trying to manage someone else. You can't manage someone else. That's God's job, right? So we also have to make sure that we're having boundaries. And even though we might not like confrontation, we have to realize that some things are meant to be said. When we don't have boundaries or when we're not liking that confrontation, it leads to us running on fumes for other people, like not getting our own stuff done, but we're ripping and running to make sure that they're getting their stuff done, right? We're not seeing about our own selves, but we're calling and checking up and being in everybody else's business but ours, right? We're not taking the breaks that we need. Like at one point in my life, y'all, I would literally run down on fumes to the point my immune system would break down and I would be in the bed like sick. And then I would finally be still. And I'm like, okay, God, I hear you now. So we cannot just be running ourselves down for people because if you're honest, how are we going to truly do kingdom work if we are run down? If we're not thinking about our own soul, right? That's why I focus on the soul because if we're not in check with our own selves, how are we going to do the things that God's telling us to do? Whether that's business, raising up children, whatever it is. So we can't be run down. Another thing of being nice is not being authentic. Like you do things to save face or to make other people comfortable. One of my favorite quotes is if you avoid conflict to keep the peace, you start war with yourself. I love that quote, y'all. If you avoid conflict to keep the peace, you start war with yourself. And I know this quote to be very true, okay? Some things you have to address, some things need to be said. Like, imagine if Jesus made the Pharisees comfortable, like, made the people who needed healing and restoration comfortable. You just can't make everybody comfortable, okay? So we have to be authentic to who God has created us to be. Like, there is nobody else in the world like you. There is nobody else in the world like Stephanie. No one else in the world like Carolyn. Like, you have to be who God created you to be. And then another sign of being nice is being an enabler. Like, you won't tell them the truth, so you enable them. Like, you give them a pass. Well, they're doing that because of this. Well, I mean, it's okay. I'm praying for them, right? Like, you're making all these excuses. That's a sign of being nice as well, okay? So when it comes to kind, the difference between nice and kind is honestly putting God's principles first. It's being respectful of other people. Like, you don't have to be rude or anything, but you have to put God first, his principles first. You have to honor God and respect others. But if something needs to be said, it has to be said. Okay. Stephanie said, yes, that's internalizing our feelings to please others. That's being too nice. Yes. And I had that all wrong. Okay. But I learned that in order to be kind, you really have to honor God and honor yourself. You have to have those healthy boundaries because I was in like a Christian group, and one of the ladies on there shared, like, am I being too mean? No. Setting a boundary is not mean. Setting a boundary is making sure that you are in alignment with God and what he has going on for your life, because he has a plan and a purpose for you. So you have to make sure that you are on the straight and narrow. Without boundaries, you are just like going any and everywhere. So you have to have those boundaries. In order to be kind, you also have to help others. So for me, this is a version of love. True love is not just like the rainbows and glitter where like you don't say any bad things, you never have an argument or a disagreement. Like, love, true love is literally being able to tell someone the truth, being able to tell someone your feelings. Without that component, it's not really love. Like, you are literally trying to blend and be like in this comfortable bubble, and that just doesn't exist with real love. So you have to be able to help them by telling them the truth if necessary, and telling them how you truly feel. Do not start a war in yourself, okay? And then the other part of kind is having wisdom and discernment. I have found that when I am operating in niceness instead of kind, I like lack wisdom and I lack discernment. Like, I don't even use it. I'm not even thinking about wisdom. I'm not even thinking about discernment. Like, there are people out here that are just, how would I say that? There are people out here that are not living with God in mind. So there are people that do not have your best interest at heart. They don't. And if you are not living in wisdom and discernment, and you're just on this nice side, you will find yourself in toxic relationships, how I was. So in order to operate in that kindness and to keep yourself aligned, you have to keep the wisdom and the discernment on. Okay, it's necessary. So I hope oh, and you said the truth is given to set one free. Yes, yes. So sad but so true. Yeah. Not everyone has your best heart, your the best intentions for you, and I had to learn that. So you want to make sure that you are operating in kindness, y'all, right? We are to love, be kind, don't be nice. Don't let people just walk all over you. That is not what God wants for you, because when you are getting walked all over, you are tired. You are like fatigued. You can't do your purpose. You can't do your plan. You're stressed out. That is not God's will for your life. So make sure that you are walking in kindness. that was an expensive lesson I learned. It cost me years of my life. And I'm so happy to be at a place where I actually feel free. Like, I don't feel like I'm subject to people like, what do people think? What are they going to say? No, I just do what I feel God is telling me to do. And He is the one holding me accountable. So walk in kindness, y'all. So I hope that this was helpful. I will be live on the 17th at 7:30 in the morning. It's a Sunday, but it's my birthday and I am sharing like the declaration for this year I'm stepping into. Every birthday God reveals to me like what this year will symbolize for me, and it's always on point. So I'm super excited about that. And it kind of ties in with this as well. So make sure y'all subscribe, click the bell so you're notified when this video drops. But until next time, I hope that this was helpful, y'all. Thank you for tuning in. Happy healing.